All right, what's going on, everybody? Great news, fresh off the presses. According to ESPN.com, and again, ESPN is not going to report something if it's not true. Uh, they're affiliated with Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury fights on ESPN. His promoter, Bob Arum, has a deal with ESPN. So it would make no sense for this to be a false rumor. This has to be right. It can't be wrong here. We're not jumping the gun. We're not putting out false information. According to ESPN, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua is officially signed. Both men have signed the contract. The fight is on. But what we don't know is the actual date and the actual location. According to this article, it says we'd like to get a site deal confirmed in the next month, said Eddie Hearn. Said the hard part is always getting everybody to put pen to paper, but this was a major effort from all the parties to get this over the line. You had rival promoters, rival networks, and rival fighters. Not to mention rival egos, always a factor in boxing. The final signature came Saturday in a provision of services agreement with signees believed to include Fury and Joshua. Joshua's promoter, Matchroom Boxing, and Fury's American promoter, Top Rank, and Fury's English promoter, Queensberry, and Fury's management company, MTK. So Eddie Hearn goes on to say, I actually feel we've done the hard part. Speak of myself, Anthony and his team at 258 Management. I know how hard we've worked these last couple months, and I just feel this fight is so big, it's not a difficult sell. We've already had approaches from 8 or 9 sites. The offers have come in from multiple countries in the Middle East, from Asia, Eastern Europe, and America. The smart money, however, continues to be on the Middle East, where Hearn secured a site fee in excess of $40 million to promote Joshua's 2019 rematch with Andy Ruiz in Saudi Arabia. And he goes on to say this is the biggest fight in boxing and one of the biggest sporting events in the world. It's a major, major win for a country that wants to showcase itself. And it also goes on to say the contract calls for a 50-50 split in the first fight and a 60-40 in the rematch, with the winner taking the higher share. The plan is for both fights to take place in 2021, the first in June or July, and the rematch ideally taking place in November or December. But news of the deal comes just days after Fury expressed frustration with the negotiations that began back in January, telling IFL that he's ceased training for Joshua and was drinking up to 12 pints a day. He said, you never really know what Tyson Hearn said. It could be mind games. He could be having a bad day. He could be a little pissed off, or he could be having a joke. He said, one of the fascinations about this fight will be the buildup because they're two totally different characters, two totally different personalities. Hearn said, the mind games will be on another level for this fight. Tyson is very good at that. Anthony is excited by that. He's so pumped, so focused. He hasn't stopped training since the Pulev fight in December. He's like a caged lion. The buildup's going to be epic. All right. So it looks like this fight is going to happen in June or July, with the second fight happening in December. One thing I don't like about this is I don't like these deals where it's a 2-fight deal, because what if Fury blows out Joshua, or Joshua blows out Fury in the first fight? Will there be a need for a rematch? Will the public want it? Bob Arum has contradicted himself so many times. He said he didn't believe in rematch clauses, but yet he had one for Wilder and Fury, and then also he's going to have one for this fight. But he didn't like the fact that it was being talked about for Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez. Now, that kind of backfired, because that fight was a good fight. A lot of people thought it was competitive. I did not, but there was enough people who thought that fight was competitive where they wanted to see a rematch, and now there's no rematch clause in that fight, so there's no rematch. In stark contrast to that, you had Fury versus Wilder, the second fight, and they had a contract in place for there to be a third fight, But no one really cared about a third fight because Fury beat Wilder in that second fight so decisively. So, this is why I'm not a big fan of these rematch clauses. I understand if you're the champion and you have a good management team behind you, you would want to throw that in there. But both guys are champions. Um, like I said, if the fight is one-sided, will there be a need for a rematch? But then you can also say, well, what about how Joshua Ruiz ended? But that fight was competitive before the stoppage. But either way, I'm curious to see where this fight ends up. Whether this fight's going to end up in the United States or the Middle East, it'll be interesting to see if the Middle East does come up with a huge offer like they did for Joshua Ruiz too. Would Vegas try to up the ante and try to outbid them? So we'll see what happens. But this is great news. All that crazy talk from Fury, who's always volatile. One day he says one thing, another day he says another thing. We don't know what's going to happen with Fury from one day to the next. He's so unpredictable. He's constantly contradicting himself, trying to lead us on to believe one thing, and then the next day he'll totally contradict what he said the previous day. So a lot of people were skeptical, even myself was skeptical whether or not this fight or these fights would happen this year because of Fury's volatile behavior. Because we all know that Fury, on the turn of a dime, can just change his mind or go off the deep end. Anything can happen with Fury. So he's so unpredictable. I believe Joshua really wanted to fight. I'm not saying Fury didn't, but he wasn't as convincing in recent months and recent weeks as Joshua was. So it's great news to hear that this fight is going to happen. But what we don't know is where it's going to be, the exact date, and who's going to broadcast this. Is this going to be on ESPN pay-per-view? And I'm pretty sure it's going to be on Sky, in Europe, but I don't know what's going to happen for a U.S. broadcaster. Is the Zone going to have any rights to this fight, or is this fight going to be exclusive to ESPN pay-per-view, and then maybe the Zone can show the replay? I don't know. I mean, there's so much up in the air here. I'd love to call Bob Arum and talk about this, but I'm sure his phone is ringing off the hook right now, and it's probably going to be hard to get a hold of him. Who knows? But it's great. It's great to hear that this fight finally got over the line. Shout out to Eddie Hearn. Shout out to everyone involved for making sure this fight happened and getting this fight put together. Because, like I said, given Fury's recent comments, uh, you know, it made me feel skeptical on whether or not this fight was going to happen. But I'm so glad to hear that it is. I have no complaints. I'm just so happy to hear that this fight is going to happen. And what else can I say, man? What else can I say? So let's just cross our fingers and hope that nothing happens to upset the apple cart here. Let's just hope that they get a great venue and they're able to put this fight on. Let's just cross our fingers. But you have to ask yourself, in June, will the restrictions be lifted enough in the United States where they could have a full live crowd? Because I'm sure that played a factor in the holdup during the negotiations. I'm sure they wanted to make sure that they could maximize the revenue to its fullest. And I think the goal obviously would have been to fight in front of a live crowd. I know Tyson Fury, once again, he made a statement that he'll never fight anywhere except for Vegas for the rest of his career, taking a page out of Floyd Mayweather's book. But once again, we don't know how serious we can take Tyson Fury. If enough money is dropped on the table in front of him to fight in Saudi Arabia, who knows if the offer will be too hard to pass up in his mind, and maybe he can change his mind on saying his stance that he only wants to fight in Vegas. So who knows? We don't. Again, it looks like the fight is signed. That's great news, but there's still a lot of things that are not really decided upon, or at least we haven't been privy to the information. We don't know what's going to happen next. So let's see what happens. Given quality says no date, no venue. Remember, Hearn told us in the past with Wilder versus AJ, the fight's a final with these issues. Yeah, but ESPN is reporting this, and I don't think that ESPN would report it if it wasn't true. They're not going to put them, they're pretty reputable. They're not going to put themselves out there only to have to retract, you know, the story later. If both guys have signed, then both guys have signed. We never were. It was never reported that both Wilder and Joshua actually signed a contract. They just had, according to Hearn, they just had verbal agreements, but they never put pen to paper. ESPN has reported it because Wilder headlines have been going wild, saying Fury has. Well, again, these are all conspiracy theories on your part. Obviously, there's a bias on your end, and you're a Wilder fan, so this is going to hurt you a little bit. And it seems like you're a little bit salty that this fight is happening instead of the Wilder fight, and it hurts you. It's fine. I mean, the emotion is real with the Wilder fanboys. We can't. I mean, we know we have to expect that this is going to happen. This is going to be put out there by the Wilder fanboys that the story is BS. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that it's out of the realm of possibility that something can happen and the fight doesn't happen. But if both guys signed a contract, then that's big news. And if you don't want to, acknowledge that, then who knows? So, but again, I'm not gonna be 100% on board with this. I'm gonna be optimistic. I'm not gonna be 100% on board with this until I actually see the first press conference for the fight. So, yeah. Given quality says I'm nobody's fan. I'm only a supporter. Well, if you're a supporter, that's the same thing as being a fan. Again, I tell everyone on here, the internet is forever. What you put on here is forever. What you say on here is forever. So, when you make a statement like that, it doesn't look good. I'm not a fan. I'm a supporter. So what is a fan? A fan is somebody who supports somebody. So again, you're just double talking right now. It just makes no sense. But we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. I think I'm going to ignore you the rest of the video and just focus on what I want to talk about, because we already know what you're trying to do and you're going to be negative. So it is what it is. You want the Wilder third fight to happen. You don't want to see this fight, so that's fine. And we know that's affecting your opinion right now. So, there's just so much that we don't know. So Mal says the UK fans would lose if this fight lands in Vegas. I'd be there, but one of the needs to be in the UK once would be the biggest fight ever. Yeah, but again, people have to be realistic. I understand why the UK fans would want it the UK, and I totally understand that. And I'm not going to say that you shouldn't want that. But if you're the fighters, you don't want the fight in the UK because you're not going to be able to maximize the revenue. If you were to put the fight in Vegas, the most expensive seats in the house would be upwards of $5,000. If you put the fight in the UK, you're not going to get those ticket prices. You're just not. People can talk all they want about these 90,000 seat stadiums, but the ticket prices are cheap. They're not what they are in the United States. A live gate in the United States with 17,000 people can be upwards of 27 to 30 million. Whereas a 90,000 seat gate in the UK, one of those 90,000 seat stadiums selling out, generate about 13 to 15 million. So, I mean, do the math. It doesn't make sense. Michael Martin says it can't be it can't be in the UK. Fury can't get his boxing license. I heard that's he can get his boxing license in the UK. I heard that's not true. I heard he's able to get it now, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But once again, if you're doing the math and you're looking at Saudi Arabia putting up a gigantic site fee, and then you're talking about how much the tickets could cost, in the United States compared to what they would be in the UK. It's a no-brainer. Unfortunately, I understand where the UK fans are coming from. I know from a fan standpoint, you definitely want the fight to be in the UK, but UK just can't compete with the United States. Michael Martin says, "Okay, we'll see." And you're right, ticket prices are different. Yeah, you're right. That's what it's about. In Vegas, yes, everywhere else in the U.S., Texas or California is normally cheaper tickets than in the UK. It depends on the fight. Again, it depends on the fight. If you have a fight with Fury versus Joshua or Fury versus Wilder, if you put it in New York, tickets will be through the roof. Texas, they may be a little cheaper because if they were to put it in a stadium, they would probably try to accommodate more people. So we'll see. So, yeah, Sky Sports will definitely broadcast the fight. Anyone who doesn't think that's going to happen, I don't know what to tell you on that one. Sky Sports will definitely broadcast the fight. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to this. If it is in Vegas, I would consider going out there and watching it. Definitely would consider going out there and watching it if the fight's in Vegas. But this is good. This is good. Again, Batman. It all depends on the fight. If you put a fight like if you looked at Golovkin versus Canelo once again, the tickets were $5,000. Again, I mean, it's really not an argument. If you got if people there's a difference between just making a valid argument and being a contrarian. I mean, don't just disagree to try to disagree. I mean, if you don't have facts to back up what you're saying, you could put a fight like there was big fights in California, big fights in New York. It all depends. It all depends on who's headlining the card. That's what it's all about. You can't compare a Strada versus Gonzalez, 215 pounders, to a heavyweight fight. You can't compare ticket prices. So again, the highest grossing fights of all time were all in America. They weren't in the UK. It's just the way it is. We're not going to go down that argument. We're not going to go down that road with that argument anymore because it's just basic math. If you don't know economics, then you don't know economics. I can't teach you economics if you don't want to understand it. It's like trying to compare the cost of a Lexus to a Camry. I mean, it's two different cars, two different markets. That's why Eddie Hearn came to the United States, and he promotes more. He's put on more fights in the United States now than he has in the UK because he knows that the United States will pay more money for the fights. He's openly said that. So let's just be realistic on our opinions and our assessment of the situation. All right. So yeah, see what happens here. Hopefully, we get an announcement by the end of the month. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, I'd love to see it in June, so I don't have to wait another month for it. Right now it's April. Excuse me. Right now it's March. We'll be in April soon. So we got April, May. I don't know. I'm leaning towards the fight being in July though, because if the fight gets officially announced in March, then April, May, they're going to need 8 weeks to train. Joshua's probably already been training. We don't know what Fury's been doing. He says he's not training, but who knows? Who knows what's going on? But I have a feeling the fight's going to be in Vegas. So we'll see. Given quality says B, the announcement at the end of the year month will be AJ Fury will take place at the end of the year or top of 2012. That's your opinion. You don't know that. That's probably what you want to happen, so that's why you're saying it. Again, let's be objective and take the. I mean, the problem with boxing fans is why people laugh at boxing fans and laugh at the sport of boxing is because of the fans and the ridiculous things they say, and everything they say is based off of emotion. Nothing is based off of objectivity. Uh, you don't want the fight to happen because you're mad because Wilder's not going to get the fight because you're a Wilder fan. So it is what it is. Have you apologized yet? For explain for what? Let me know what I need to apologize for, and I'll be welcome to apologize for it if it warrants an apology. I don't know what you're asking me to apologize for, so let me know. Yeah, I mean the Wilder fanboys don't want the fight. I got it wrong. Got what wrong? What did I get wrong? I'm confused. What did I get wrong? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what. Again, if you want to say something, come out and say it. I mean, it seems like you're kind of beating around the bush. I don't know. I don't know what want me to apologize for. I said it wasn't happening. Yeah, I was. I'm very skeptical. I was very skeptical whether or not it was going to happen. I already stated that. I'm sure you were skeptical either. I mean, if we want a Monday morning quarterback, we can Monday morning quarterback all day. Unless you knew for sure the fight was going to happen and you came out and said the fight was going to happen, then, I feel bad for people that come on here and just troll. I just feel bad about it. But unless you said that you knew for sure that the fight was definitely going to happen, then you don't have a right to be the one to call me out on that. So anyone that was skeptical on whether or not the fight was going to happen, that's just common sense. So did you know for sure that the fight was definitely going to happen this year? Did you know that? Because you never came out and said it. You're saying it now. So this is why people don't take you guys serious. I mean, this is why people laugh at boxing fans, because they're all emotional. It's all emotion based. It's all it is. I feel bad for people that just come on and troll. I told you to apologize in the comment section of that show. Go look. Screenshot it and send it to me. So if it makes you feel better, do you need to hear me say I'm sorry for saying that I was skeptical? Okay, I'm sorry for saying that I was skeptical whether or not the fight would happen or not. That's fine. I mean, if that makes you feel better, that's fine. And you like when you make a statement like you knew the fight was going to happen, that's your opinion. And you could have easily been wrong, and you still could be wrong. Aram did say, thank you, Alexander Wilson. Aram did say it could land at Wembley, which means that they would have to be offering a big site fee. That's the only way I see it being there. What do I got in these two fights? I got Fury all day. Yeah. Well, why would you be crying? I mean, again, I'm happy to be wrong on this one. If it makes you feel better that I was wrong and you need me to say I was wrong, then that's fine. I mean, if you're that emotionally invested in this, then that's fine. That's great. I'm glad that I can give you that narcissistic supply that you so desperately need and so desperately crave for. Okay, Beeb, do you agree with me about being suspect about this fight being next? I am not going to be 100% confident that this fight is happening until I hear the first press conference announced. That's when I'm going to feel comfortable, to be honest with you. Because as much as I love Tyson Fury, um, he's a volatile guy. He's a type of guy that could have he think about this. They even had press conferences for the Klitschko rematch, and he still pulled out. Like the fight was actually signed. They had press conferences for it, but he still pulled out of the fight, and it didn't happen. So even me saying that I'm not going to be confident until I see the first press conference, even that you can't feel confident with, because if you think about it, he had a press conference for Klitschko 2, for Fury Klitschko 2, and the fight still didn't happen. They had press conferences for David Haye versus Fury. They actually had press conferences, and that fight still didn't happen. So as much as I love Tyson Fury, the reality of the situation is he has a history of pulling out of fights, even when he signs them, even when he has press conferences for the events. So I'm going to be optimistic about this. And once again, if I'm wrong, I love to be wrong. And if people in the, if this guy Hetty One needs me to be wrong to make himself feel good, that's fine. I mean, if you need me to be wrong to help you, if I could help you, I'm happy to help you. If I could pull you out of that state of depression, or that, help you out with your narcissism, I'd love to do that for you. And I'll do it free of charge, without even charging you what a therapist would charge you. So I'm giving you that attention that you need and crave so badly for free. I'm helping you out. This gives me, I won't believe it until I see the first bell rings vibes. Hopefully it does. Undisputed heavyweight champion is long overdue. See, my only problem with this whole situation is we're in the middle of March. Both guys have signed a contract, allegedly, but there's no venue and there's no date. And the rumor is either for the first fight, either June or July, and the rumor is either November or December. Now, how are you going to throw this together so quickly for July? Because if you announce the fight, or even June, I don't think it could happen in June at this point, because both guys are going to need an 8-week training camp. They're going to need a press. Like, are they going to do any promotion for this fight? How many press conferences are they going to do? Are they going to travel? So I know this fight's big and it sells itself, but you're still going to have to do some type of press for it. You're going to have to give people time who want to go see the fight to take time off from work or do whatever they have to do to make arrangements to travel. Because a lot of the UK fans, if it's in Saudi, I'm sure they're going to want to travel. If it's in Vegas, they're going to want to travel. So you gotta give the fans enough time to get ready for this fight, and you got to give the promotion itself enough time to do the work to get the press conferences and everything scheduled and squared away. So to me, I don't know how they're going to squeeze two fights in. That's what I'm a little concerned about. July and December, okay, we'll see. We'll see. Remember, we were supposed to get a third Fury Wilder fight, and I know we had the pandemic or whatever, but we still we didn't end up having the fight. So we don't have a venue and we don't have dates. So I'm still somewhat skeptical. I'm cautiously optimistic about this, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm cautiously optimistic about this. If you want me to be honest with you guys, I'm definitely cautiously optimistic. I mean, Joshua did fight in September with Ruiz too, so it's possible, but I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, again, I think the fight's either going to be in Saudi or it's either going to be in Vegas. We'll see what happens. I don't think. I'm sorry to say this to the UK fans. I don't think this fight is going to happen in the UK. I don't think it's gonna be there. Yeah, Beeb, you're gonna buy Ruiz versus Areola. Ah, probably will. Unfortunately, yeah. I think Fury. I think Joshua is a mid-range guy. Fury can fight on the inside. He can fight on the outside. Joshua's okay on the outside, but I don't. I think his game is in the mid-range. I think Fury wins this fight. I just think he wins this fight. I think Fury makes this fight ugly. I think he frustrates Joshua in this fight. Uh, I just don't see. I just don't see Joshua being able to win this fight. It's not impossible, but I don't think he's going to win this fight. I just don't see it. Yeah, I do need help. Ruiz versus Areola pay per view is straight trash. There's, I mean, I don't think it's a pay per view fight. I'm not. I don't even think it's a great fight, to be honest with you. But Ruiz has been away for a while. Maybe he wants a stay busy fight. Does he deserve it? Yeah. I mean, I'm not against him getting a stay busy fight. Nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. So, what do you guys think? What are the odds? Do you think this fight, there's going to be two fights this year? Are you still a little bit skeptical like me, or what's your opinion on this? How do you feel, guys? You think these fights are going to happen this year? Do you think we're going to get at least one fight? Do you think we're definitely going to get both fights? Who knows? Because after the first fight, someone could get cut. What if someone gets knocked out and they need time to recover? What if there's an injury? Once again, I don't like these two fight deals. I like let's have the one fight and see what happens, but we'll see. I have a prediction that the fight will probably be in Dubai as well, because I think that I don't think Hearn and Joshua will be too keen to fight in the United States after what happened in the Ruiz fight. I think they'll push hard for this fight to be in Dubai, and I think that it's quite possible that Dubai will definitely put up well, I think they will, in my opinion, definitely put up a ton of money. If Fury wins, he won't rematch. Looking at Pat, yeah, that's true too, Tiny Tim. I mean, again, we don't know what Fury is going to do next from day to day. Given quality says 0 chance AJ Fury have two fights, 30 chance they have one fight if Fury vacates WBC. I don't know. I mean, seems like you don't want the fight to happen. Seems like you're very negative about the whole thing. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm 50-50 on whether they have two fights. I'm hoping that they at least have one. I'm hoping that they at least have one. And you know me, I'm a Tyson Fury fan all day. I mean, I'm representing Tyson Fury. As much as I love him, I have to be realistic about his behavior in the past. We know how Tyson Fury has been. We know he's volatile. We know that one day he says one thing, another day he says another thing. We know that he can pull out of a fight on the turn of a dime. So, we just have to be honest about our assessment on Tyson Fury. We just have to be honest about it, because from day to day, this guy can change his mind, and you just have to accept it. There's nothing we can do about it. You know, KDDR 7989. He says, I see Fury winning and riding it to the sunset. They would have to be a ton of money to bring him back. Even like that, Tyson can say, F it, I don't need it. Yeah. Yeah, we don't know. I mean, we just don't know what Tyson Fury is going to do. That's all. We don't know. We don't know what Tyson Fury is going to do. But Yeah, I'm a little bit excited. I'm a little bit excited. I'd feel a lot better if they had an actual date and venue, but I mean, they supposedly signed. This is another thing. I hate to be skeptical and be a negative Nelly, but how could you sign a contract without having a like? What type of contract did you sign? You don't have a venue. You don't have a venue, and you don't have a date. So what did you actually sign? That's like signing a contract saying, well, I'll show up to work tomorrow if I feel good and it's sunny out. You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean? What if it rains and I don't feel good the next day? Then I don't go to work. You know, they still don't have a date and they don't have a venue. So what did they actually sign? I started off this video very optimistic and happy, but the more I think about it, and the more I'm listening to you guys in the chat, you guys are making good points. I have to be objective here. I gotta look at the history. Gotta look at the history. And as much as I love Fury, this guy is so unpredictable. I could see Fury signing the fight, having the date announced, having the venue announced, going to the first press conference, and then 3 weeks before the fight saying, "Oh, I'm retiring." That shit could happen. That shit could happen. That shit could happen. Anyone that's doubting me, I'm going to ask people a question I'm going to ask everyone a question in the chat. Do you guys remember when Tyson Fury officially signed to fight David Haye? And then they had a press conference. And then this one wasn't Tyson Fury's fault, but David Haye actually supposedly got injured or something, and he pulled out of the fight, and that fight didn't happen. You guys remember that? You also remember when the rematch was signed for Fury versus Klitschko 2. They had the date and they had the venue already squared away. They even had a press conference where Tyson Fury took his shirt off and showed everyone how heavy he was, right? And you do remember that fight did not happen. So again, let's not ignore the past. Given Quality is right about that. When you look at Fury's history, does have a history of pulling out of fights, even when he signs on the dotted line. So let's be honest. Haye was cut and sparring, but I think it was a duck by Haye. Yeah, well, again, I'm not sure what happened to Haye. He did report an injury, but a lot of people question whether or not he was injured or not. So I don't know. Fighting Haye's another guy that seems to pull out of fights a lot too. If you have a fighter who has a history of pulling out of fights, then that's you got to factor that in. You have to question whether or not the fights are going to happen if you have a guy who has a history of pulling out of fights. So we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. Guys, do you think in the chat, let's ask the guys in the chat, do you guys think that we're going to get at least one fight this year? What is your opinion in the chat? Do you think we're going to get one fight this year? That's what you have to ask yourself. Do you think we're going to at least get one fight? I think we'll at least get one fight. I'm skeptical whether we get the two. That's what I'm skeptical of. I think we get one. All right. Do you think we're going to get two fights this year from Fury? You think we're going to get two fights? I think we'll at least get one, but I'm not sure if we're going to get the two. Yeah, I'm going to say we're definitely going to get one. I'm skeptical whether we're going to get two. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Most of you guys are saying we're only going to get one. Does anyone think we're not going to get any fights? Do you think we're going to get 0 fights? Centurion Sun says AJ better win. Does anyone think we're going to get 0 fights this year? Centurion Sun says one fight. Does anyone think we're going to get 0 fights? What do you guys think of that? What about 0 fights? Are we going to get 0 fights this year? So everyone thinks that we're going to at least get one fight. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign. At least we get one fight. That's not bad. So yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. Kale Burke and Errol Spence. Wow, that's I'm not going to read that one. That was a lot of trolls in here today, man. But anyways, thank you. Thank even the trolls. Thank you for the view. I mean, we'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take it. Who do you guys think's going to win? I'm picking Fury all day. Any Joshua fans in there picking Joshua? Anybody picking Joshua for this fight? Anyone think Joshua's going to win this fight? Yes, Marvin Hagler, rest in peace. Melo's picking Joshua. We got one Joshua. We got 2 Fury. We got 3 Furies, 4 Furies. Joshua has no chance. Yeah. Michael Martin says Fury coke-headed ass, but I want AJ to win. Everyone's been DJ Mexicano. Mexicano saying Fury. Everyone, we got Fury by stoppage here. Yeah, most people are picking Fury here. We got a lot of Fury fans here. A lot of people picking Fury. Yeah. I got Canelo all day over Saunders. I got Canelo over Saunders. I'm gonna drop a link. I'm gonna drop a link. See if anyone wants to jump in. See if anyone wants to jump in. Any of you guys want to jump in here? Yeah, I can understand why you would be undecided, G Funky, because you never know where Fury's going to be at. What's going on with him? We never know. You just never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. Just never know. Yeah, I think Benavidez is the only guy who can beat Canelo too. I'm a big David Benavidez fan. I think that would be Canelo's toughest fight, without question. I may even pick Benavidez over Canelo, but it's tough. It's a tough one. Yeah, I don't think Benavidez takes a lot of shots. I think he's got good defense. Yeah, I don't think Saunders has a better chance than Benavidez. I disagree with that one. But hey, some people think that Saunders can win. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We will see. Canelo found, Centurion Sun says, Canelo found a loophole saying he doesn't fight Mexicans. We'll see. Fighters say a lot of things until the money's dropped on the table, and then they change their mind sometimes. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. This is great news. Hopefully, that by the end of the month, we at least get a date and a venue. But this is great news. But once again, I'm cautiously optimistic about this. We'll see what happens. All right, guys, till next time, make sure you tune into the Ringside Reporter podcast every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Myself, Eric Lauder. Until next time, Beavers, I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace. Have a great day.